Welcome to the 2024 Borrego Springs SDBC Team Camp. We arrived in Borrego Springs December 1st, and day one of camp was focused around pacelining and getting to know each other as teammates. We started the ride riding 2x2, just spinning easy to warm up a little bit. We almost rolled all the way to the Salton Sea, but stopped a little short to turn around and talk about pacelining and start implementing some of the things we were talking about. Here's a clip of me taking a pull on the front and rotating through with the group. After a little while, we stopped to talk about the pacelining drill and to talk about the next drill, which would be a race and chase type drill. For the chase drill, we had two riders riding off the front with about a 20-second advantage, while we had the remaining 8 riders behind chasing, and the objective of the drill was to get all riders to make contact with the lead 2 riders without dropping anyone from the group. The objective of this drill was to demonstrate the power of the numbers of the 8 riders behind, and to learn how to distribute workload appropriately as to not drop your teammates in the process of chasing. The chase drill was really close, but ultimately the 8 riders behind did not catch the 2 up front, as the 2 up front had a 10-second gap remaining at the end. The biggest challenge of the chase was trying to keep the group together, as sometimes a hard pull would cause the group to drop riders, forcing the group to slow up and regather before starting to chase again. It took the 8 riders behind about 5 minutes before they figured out how to implement a strategy to keep all the riders together while still bringing back time on the other 2 riders. Afterwards, we discussed the drill. This would conclude day 1 of camp, and we cooled down for a little bit and got ready for the second day of camp, which would start with an hour-long climb up the Montezuma climb out in Borrego Springs, and a lot of the riders were encouraged to treat this effort as an FTP test. By the time I reached the top, I was absolutely at my limit, and I think a lot of the other riders were too, as many people set PRs on the day. After we regathered at the top, we continued on for 70 more miles towards Mesa Grande, Julian, down Banner Grade, and back into Borrego Springs for an epic ride. Day 3 of camp started with a jump before we rolled out to the crit course to work on cornering and some mock race scenarios. We rolled over to the crit course 2x2, and when we got there, Coach Adam Mills set up a slalom course with cones and was explaining how to properly corner by weighting your outside leg and inside hand on the handlebars. And he talked about body position and when you're cornering really hard, how you want to almost hover above the saddle and use your hips to steer, I talked about the importance of looking through the corner to help set up for the next turn, and then I demonstrated a couple laps through the slalom course. After running through the slalom course several times, the next drill we worked on was an attack and cover drill, where one rider was designated as the rider to cover and an unknown rider was picked to attack. And the idea was to put yourself in a position where you could respond to the attack appropriately and use momentum to your advantage. After we ran through the attack and cover drill, we took a short intermission to fix a flat tire. And we moved on to the next drill, which was a little bit of mock racing. So what we did was set up a points race format where we had 4 teams of 2, and we designated one finisher per rider, and they were the only rider that was allowed to score points. So this drill demonstrated the benefit of using a teammate to set you up for leadouts, and it also demonstrated how to effectively implement a strategy to beat your opponents. This would end up being the last session of camp. Afterwards, we discussed the race and rolled out as a group to cool down and get ready to head back home. Thanks for everyone for coming out to Borrego Springs and making the weekend so amazing.